The topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Get ready to be amazed. Get ready to know things that are usually unknowable. Get ready for an hour of insight and fascinating entertainment with Dr. Linda Salvin. For nearly 3 decades, Dr. Linda has been one of America's most celebrated psychic readers, metaphysical clinicians, and unmatched talk show hosts, bringing insights and solutions to thousands of people worldwide. Pull up a chair, turn it up, and get ready for a visit with the one and only Dr. Linda. And now, live from Los Angeles, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Linda Salvin.
Hi, welcome back to another Starlight Café, everybody. I am so excited about today. I have a guest with me, Fred Missman, who gave me my start in radio in March of 1994 on Los Angeles' largest FM rock station at the time. And I was selected out of over 300 psychics to do the nighttime drive with a man who's no longer with us, named Steve Woods, who was the DJ at the time. And they created a psychic segment in order to compete with a station across town for numbers in the Arbitron ratings. And we did pretty well. The intro that you hear, the outro that you hear, if you go on Dr. Linda Radio and you hear commercials, that voice that represents and has branded Dr. Linda for almost 30 years belongs to Fred Missman. I want you to meet Fred. I finally got him to join the show. And now you're going to see this man whose name I always mentioned. Hi, Fred. Where are you? There you are.
I'm here. I hope I'm not.
There you are.
I'm a face for radio, and we met back when my hair was your color.
You had hair. Yes, my hair was your color back 30 years ago. That's funny. But it's taken me 28 years to get you on the air with me.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of a record. I've always been a behind-the-scenes guy. That's what appeals to me about radio. You know, you can talk to thousands of people, and no one sees you. So you don't get stage fright as much.
Yeah, but I've learned to do all of it. But none of this career that I've built over the last 30 years would have happened had it not been for you, which is why when I'm interviewed, I mention you, I thank you, I put your name in print. I'm always touting you, you know, because you affected my life.
And your concept for the Starlight Cafe, I mean, it's brilliant. And we both have been hitting our heads like, why don't people get this? It's a fantastic concept, and no one else is doing this. And
no, they're not. But for some reason,
do this. So how do you get the word out? Because once
I don't know,
discover it, they're going to say, "Wow, this has to be a regular thing to view and to catch."
You would think, and I'm trying, and I'm on 100 platforms: YouTube, Facebook, iTunes, iHeart. It's not catching on yet, but Dean, who we'll bring on in a moment, who owns the station, said, "Give it a year," and like, you know me, I want it now. But it's not about me right now. It's about you. You started radio when you were very young. Why don't you give a little history about your background in radio and college and how you ended up on all those stations with, gosh, you worked with some of the biggest celebrities and Rick Dees. I mean, music people you met on the way.
Yeah, well, radio was important back then. And I guess, you know, now it's just not what it was. Americans have been kind of robbed of the radio that they love. All these years, it was a magic thing we used to have. It was a thing called content and talent, and they've taken that all off of radio for the most part now, right? So you wonder why people don't listen. Well, they've taken the content out. But we used to love radios, like the old car designs. We had some passion about, you know, the drama of life and entertainment, and you could just, you know, reach out and listen to somebody live. You know,
you could have stories and interviews, and when DJs actually had a voice, and then it became automated. They said, for the next 20 minutes, you're going to be hearing nothing but music. We'll see you. You know, it changed, and it must have been frustrating for you as a programmer and as a creative director and as the voice to watch the elimination of the creativity?
Well, I always stayed in the creative part of it, so it was more behind the scenes, where creating the programs, creating the.
You created me.
Yeah, the packaging, and some of the campaigns we did for creative with public service and with commercials for clients. We've made a lot of people made their businesses, pop, and that's a lot of satisfaction to do the creative behind the scenes that lets a person who advertises on your radio station have that kind of a success and recognition. And it's the same way with some of the
it's just it's very different. The podcast world, everybody's got a podcast, like everybody wears shoes. It's nothing new.
Everyone's a DJ, therefore nobody's a DJ. So it's a new world.
Everybody's a psychic now. Everybody's doing cards on TikTok, and half of them, they don't even know what they're doing. So I look at them and go, "What BS this is?" And listen to this tone. He's going to call you tomorrow. I'm like, what kind of crap is this stuff now? But when it comes to the real psychics, you chose me out of over 300 applicants for that gig. Yeah. And then when that ended with Steve and then Carolyn Gracie, who's no longer, I think she retired from QVC or whatever she was doing.
She's not with QVC anymore? Yeah, she was a QVC.
I think she just retired. I read something. Yeah, I think she retired, and I'm thinking, wow, what she did from radio onto TV as a marketing person. And I'm working with her, and when it was over, you said, you're not done. You said, there's more for you to do. And I said, but I don't have a broadcasting career. And you trained me, and then you taught me where to broker, and you taught me how to do a show.
You were on some great stations. You were on KIEV your first stint, and that was.
It was KIEV that started, which is now not KGO, they're whatever they are, but it's a Salem station. And then I got to cable radio, and I was there for 9 years. And then I was on KLSX, I was on KBC, and then there was a time, these are all LA, and then the CRN, of course, was nationally syndicated in over about 400 markets. Then through that, if you remember, I syndicated into smaller markets in New Mexico, New York, Iowa, Illinois. I had about 20 other little stations. So I was always doing something, and my voice was out there, but the responses were phenomenal. That's what feeds a talk show host. Now, there's
you're basically getting around to everybody, right?
It's just a different wheel that I'm learning. Speaking of wheels, you've gone around the wheel to the point where you retired after all your years on radio and being the voice of different stations, country, pop, rock. You did it all. And you've done your podcast, you've done online stuff, but you also, the other side of Fred Missman, is an astrologer. So,
that's probably where we connected, because of the interest in the metaphysical things. And
and it all started.
The symbols and all that,
So we're going to show a general chart of what an astrology chart looks like. And this one is just the basic ring. I can't read whose name is on there. It's a little.
Do you want to start with just like the single wheel that is the today chart, and we can see what.
Okay. So is this today? I can't see it, Rebel. It's too small.
This one is the USA chart, and
okay. Here's the today. No, that's me. Here we go. There's today. Okay.
Chart.
Nope.
Right.
Go back. Nope. Go back. That's mine. We want to go to the today. We want to shift
wheel.
back.
Yeah, the single wheel.
There you go. Stay there, please. Okay. So for those who don't understand astrology, what astrology is mostly based on our birth day, time, and location, right?
Right. So this is a snapshot of where the planets are today. You'll notice it says 1:37 p.m., October 12th, 2023. And so that sets the rising sign, and that's over to the 9 o'clock part of the clock here, where it has a little VS symbol, which actually is a symbol for Capricorn. So that sets the ascendant, the rising sign. That there is where it demarks the entry into the first house, and then that first we go counterclockwise, and that first chunk of the pie below that line is the first house. And you can see that in the first house is the little orb held in a little chalice with a X under it. That's the symbol for Pluto, and we've got Pluto in Capricorn as one of our overarching experiences at this day, and Pluto is a planet that governs revolution, intensity, control, mystery behind the scenes things.
Look what's going on in the world right now with all that.
Look what's going on in the world right now. And Capricorn covers structure, buildings, finite things, business,
and everything was destroyed in Israel. So that would include a lot of that.
And look at all the revolution, destruction, and power and control issues going on that it is ruining Ukraine and
Russia.
Russia, you can just go on down the list of all the things that are affecting the structure of the world order as we once knew it.
Yes,
is all being experiences this upheaval.
It's changing. It's changing.
Yeah.
So this shows
how it works.
Today. This show. I'm sorry, you said what?
So that's an example of how it works. It's just
right. Okay. So
each of these houses, you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in the inner circle here. That's those are the different houses, and each house.
Yeah, I've never understood it.
Each house governs a different part of our lives. So the first house is how people see us, our new beginnings, our thought process, how we reach out into the world. Second house is the things that we value. It's called our money house. It's how you earn your money and how you like to spend it. Third house is communication, immediate environment, brothers and sisters. And fourth house is our actual home life, our private life, where we set up a foundation of ourselves away from the world. Fifth house is creativity, children, beauty, gambling, what do you say, speculations. So it would be like investment would go in there. Sixth house is your day-to-day routines, like, you get up and you take a shower and it's how you do your work, as opposed to the work itself, which is under career. It's how you do your work, your approach to it, and your health routines. That's in the sixth house. Seventh house is marriage and partnership, open partners, but also open enemies. So you look for that. We call that the marriage houses. If someone's planets fall into our seventh house, then we see them as a mate. Eighth house is inheritances, shared resources, legacies, also called the death house, also the sexual house. If somebody's planets fall in there, you could have a very physical attraction to them. Ninth house is philosophy, exploration, group thought like laws and religion, those kinds of things. Higher education, so college would fit into there, or foreign travel would fit into there. 10th house is your career, your prominence in the world, how you make your mark. That's what you do as opposed to how you do it. How people know you, people know you professionally. And the 11th house is our friends, our hopes and wishes, how we receive our love, associations in there. And 12th house is a hidden house. It's the part of our lives that we don't see. It's kind of our blind spot. It's the place where involved the veil that we step into the other side that you reside in sometimes in the metaphysical.
Yeah, I certainly do. You got to bring me back to earth. Fred's known me for 30 years and knows I'm way out there as a psychic and a healer on a spiritual level. Yep, that must be my house. So
we'll go over your chart because some interesting stuff is going on.
Yeah, but I want to go over Dean's chart first because Dean's sitting backstage and has to go. So now that we have a basic understanding of what each house represents, let's bring Dean Piper on. Dean is the owner of the station, obviously. Hey, Dean, welcome again.
Well, thank you for having me on your show. It is such an honor to be on like this.
Well, you're getting a gift today because Fred ran your chart. Look at all these. Everything's clustered towards the top of the wheel. So we're going to hear what's going on in...
So I want to ask a question even before we go into it, too. Yeah. So... since I don't know if Dr. Linda told you, my parents didn't record anything. So I have no idea what time I was actually born. And
we're going to go over that with the ascendant, what that means if you don't know your time. Let Fred, I don't understand what happened here, Rebel. Bring back the chart, please. Yeah. There we go. This is Dean on paper. Nope. Yeah. That's Dean on paper. That's the wheel. So Fred will explain with you when you don't have the time of birth to use as the ascendant, which is your rising. Fred will explain all of it. And it's okay because there's a general time, but the main thing was your birth date, which was yesterday. Happy birthday again, Mr. Libra. The year and the location. So let Fred explain what he sees, and then you can say how accurate it is.
Or not.
You learn everything about yourself. Somebody just asked a question, how much you learn more about yourself. It's like getting a book on you. If you would like your chart done, you can contact me at drlinda@lindasalvin.com. I take your credit card. I get all the information you need. I send it to Fred. Fred does your chart. You get about 13 to 20 pages of a written report, depending if you want what's called a natal, which is the basic report based on your birthday. And if you want to compare yourself to a spouse or a friend or somebody, it's called a compatibility. And we can put them together. We offer the charts. So if you are interested in learning, all of that is available for you via my website or my email. Let there be light.
Okay. We were just talking about all the houses, and unfortunately with Dean, we can't do houses because we don't know, as we talked about, the birth time, which sets the ascendant. So what we can do is interpret where the planets are bumping around right now and how that's bumping into your natal planets. Generally, we just can't confine them to houses and know what parts of your life the individual aspects are affecting. But we can say that you've got a couple of things going on here. You've got Mercury is conjunct. So this is transiting Mercury. It's up at the top of the chart. That's the little guy with the ears on top. That's conjunct your
I can't point.
Venus.
Yeah, that's true.
So just below that is your Venus, which is the little round little stick figure with a little cross under it, 10 degrees, and that symbol under the Venus is Libra. So your natal Venus is in Libra, which is your sun sign, and the sun is the sign next to it, the symbol next to it. So you are thinking probably right now about things involving love or art, wealth, nice possessions. It may be something that's on your plate right now that you're dealing with to think about. You've got Jupiter in Taurus, and what we're looking for is things that echo and confirm an aspect in a chart. So you start to see patterns that echo the same information. You say, okay, we got something, a pattern going here that supports something really happening in your life. And Jupiter in Taurus is a similar analog of thinking about love, art, and beauty. Taurus is an earth sign, and it is governed by Venus. And so you put Earth, which is a tangible, solid thing, in conjunction with Venus, which is harmony and beauty, and you get wealth, jewelry.
Let me ask you a question with that. Hold on a minute, Fred. My question is, because I get along really well with Dean in many aspects with career or our backgrounds are similar in some ways, but there's a like with you, I've known you for 30 years. We've been friends. We've socialized. We've got friends in common. I mean, we connect.
Yeah.
Same thing with Dean. So you just said he's got Mercury's in Taurus. Is that what I heard you say? Because if my Mercury's in Capricorn, then that's where the compatibility comes in communication, because Mercury's the sign of communication. So that would make it more compatible for a person like me or whoever's chart we're doing. Like we find out where the signs are equal. Is that what so he's got Taurus and Mercury in Taurus. Is that what I heard?
Why don't we just let's go take a look at comparing your chart and his chart. So.
Oh, okay. Bring mine up, please, Rebel. Because it'd be interesting to see what the compassion and compatibility is here on a friendship business level.
I just brought you up on my
mess. There I am, all over the place.
Yeah, that's funny you should say that. I was just about to say, boy, you're all over the place.
Yeah. Fred's analyzed this a few times through the years, but it's pretty powerful. I know I've got Mars in Scorpio, Venus and Mercury are Capricorn, but when I heard Mercury with Taurus, that would be in compatibility in conjunction with my Capricorn. So it all comes together there. Go ahead, Fred.
So your rising sign is Gemini, which makes the ruler of your chart Mercury. So let's see where your Mercury affects
Capricorn.
Dean. All right, so we have Mercury in Capricorn, and let's see if that has how that impacts any of Dean's planets. You've got an exact hit to his Neptune, and that is going to be square. So you may have difficulty communicating, actually.
At times, yeah, I get feisty. He knows, but he knows how to handle me.
Yeah.
That's the Libra in me. It's the Libra in me that avoids conflict. So when the conflict's rising, I'm calming you down.
Yep. No, Libra is all about balances and scales. That's also
balance,
ruled
like the scales, right?
By Venus,
yeah.
Right? Dean's Mercury, which governs his mind, is conjunct exactly your Saturn, so he does know how to talk to you and calm you down and keep you structured. And that's interesting that that's in Scorpio, because that Scorpio governs things like metaphysical. So you probably would be good in a business relationship involving metaphysical things. Oddly enough, let's see here. Let's see where Dean's Jupiter is. It's in the third house of communication. Your third house of communications. Where I can't set Dean's houses, but I can see where Dean's planets fit into your houses, and his Jupiter is a very good flow with your communication. That's probably where that communication flow is, and his Jupiter falls in your third house.
That explains why I'm homeless and I just go into other people's houses.
Well, let's look at your homeless situation. You have. Well, actually, we can't look at your fourth house. We don't know what's going on in your fourth house because we can't set that with your birth time. But your Mars is in Linda's fourth house, and it's almost conjunct her Pluto. So that's a lot of fire and activity and connection, and you might not make good roommates.
No, I don't think it would go to that level.
Yeah, you're probably not. That's not what it's about.
Yeah, if we became roommates, I might not wake up one morning.
Well, I wouldn't go that.
Wake up. I would just probably be in the other room. Yeah. No, it wouldn't work.
We talked earlier about the idea of a chart echoing things and repeating information to build evidence for a premise. And one of the things we look for that is stellium. And a stellium is more than 3 planets in a house or a sign. And Dean has a stellium of 5 planets in your 5th house of creativity. So that's beautiful for a working relationship that involves creativity, which is
3 shows a week and
entertainment. Yeah. So that's really good. His moon is in your 5th house, so he totally understands your approach to creativity. His Jupiter's there, so he can put some intensive work into making things happen there. Uranus is in your 5th house, so he can understand insights, but also that governs electronic communication, which is what we're doing here.
Which is what this is. Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Venus there, he can help make it pretty and beautiful and get it on the air and make it look good. And you've got good graphics and packaging and all that. And
we got it all. I just don't have the volume yet. I don't have the response in the chat.
Yeah.
I don't have the numbers.
Yeah, well, his Jupiter, when your 3rd house of communication, I think that's really going to contribute to volume. So that increases the volume of communication and the amount of it.
Yeah, but they're not downloading and responding. That's the key, as you know, because of you starting me not 30 years ago. I learned how to use radio as a direct marketing vehicle. It's your fault.
Yeah.
It's all your fault. I became the radio psychic. Fred coined the term.
It just may be that we're kind of a little bit in a different planetary level, and most people are operating. They're just getting through every day, and they're not operating on a high vibration.
No, they're not on the high
Not at all.
frequency, and I'm still on that higher frequency. Dean and I talked about it on the Tuesday show and the Wednesday show. There are different levels of consciousness and attitude, and
most people
God. They're
there,
dead,
yeah.
or they don't want to take responsibility, or everybody's just addicted to their, apps,
and we're
there's no
definitely in a
communication.
world. We're definitely in a world of low energy.
Oh,
I think part of that low energy, in my opinion, is people that are so focused on mental health. And what I mean by that is they're focused on what they have wrong with them all the time. And I think that contributes to that lower energy.
It's and you hit upon something that's very important.
We all have.
That most people are analytical, and an analytical's job is to find fault. Mostly an analytical job, finding fault is with the motivation of improving something, fixing a problem. But analytical people tend to stay in that fault-finding mode. And they're always looking for problems and forgetting that the goal is to fix the problem and get the other side rather than just focus on the problem. And so a lot of analytical people tend to be negative, and so there's a lot of analytical people out there.
Yeah, and you have people out there now today that the things that worked for all three of us through our years, they think doesn't work. And if you don't think something works, of course it isn't. And like I said, they just like to focus on the negative. And when you try to input the positive, they get mad at you.
Which is crazy because we bring into our lives. Yeah, we bring into our lives what we see. And
law of attraction.
Exactly. Yeah, it's how prayer works. You give thanks in advance for what you want rather than asking for it. Because when you ask for something, you're coming from a position of lack. You're asking the universe, I don't have this. And the universe hears, you don't have that. Okay, there you go. You don't have it. But when you give thanks, which is, it's called faith, which is the belief in a positive outcome to the exclusion of the evidence to the contrary in the immediate. Right, so that's faith, seeing past the immediate visuals that fool us, and towards the positive outcome, the miracle that can happen on the other side, if we but have that mustard grain of belief,
Well, to your point,
I said faith.
I was going to say, to your point, I believe also as a Jew that Jews tend to, it's a commandment to pray. Whereas Christians tend to pray every time they want something. Yeah,
and that's not an effective way to do it because they don't get it. It's about giving.
And then the way I teach it is you can pray every day, because all you do, like at night, I just say, thank you, God, and I don't have to get on your hands and knees and say this and say that. No, of course I want more money. Of course I want more love. Of course I need more clothes. Of course I need a Lamborghini or whatever. But it's the way that you put the prayer out. Because remember, prayer is talking to God and meditation is listening. It's that simple, as opposed to getting into these huge rituals of oh my God, I'm going to sit and pray. And, for 35 minutes of meditation. It works for some people, not me. And I am not one to sit and manifest my desires for 20 minutes. It doesn't work for me. I don't have the patience.
No, and the divine hand is always challenging.
They know.
Do you have belief that I can do great things in your life? And if so, what kind of faith are you showing? You've got to show your faith. Your belief,
and what I do is show
belief in the power
path.
of the divine. Say again?
And look at the path and the journey. Yep.
Yeah.
It's all there.
Yeah. So back to Dean's chart here. He's again focused on art, music, and entertainment. He's got Neptune conjunct Saturn right now, which is again echoing that same pattern about entertainment, art, and music being the focus of his thought right now. With Neptune conjunct Saturn, you have to kind of be careful about learning lessons in addiction. So don't get addicted to anything, whether it's gambling or.
That's another thing we talked about on the Wednesday show, Fred. We talked about addictions in the past, whether it was.
I'm addicted to addicts.
There you go. But it's a good
Yes,
time
I
to.
have all of that. If you guys hold on a second, because all the people keep asking, what about this for detox and what about this for meditation?
Yeah.
I have everything. I am a doctor of metaphysics. My practice is all on lindasalvin.com.
Right.
You can see the health products. You can listen to the radio. You can purchase candles. You can purchase a consultation with me. And we go over all of this. So instead of just popping up on chat, get to the website, book a session, and let me help you. Because you're not going to get it for free on the show. You're not. You'll get suggestions, but the show is actually to help you.
Yeah, we can just touch on things lightly, or we don't have time to get into depth.
The whole thing is like if you want
in-depth thing, that's where the value is. It's just getting deep into a subject.
You get an appointment, or if you're interested in an astrology chart of your own, then email me and I'll get the data and I'll get it to Fred, and Fred and I'll get it to you. Yeah. We're here as a service. I've been working with Fred for 30 years.
I want to make a comment too about these charts is that, so people that really don't understand astrology,
it's a science. It's a lot of work.
They think it's a bunch of frou-frou stuff. And all you have to do is look at one of these charts and know that that's not the case. It's complete 100% science and calculations and things that the average person probably can't understand looking at it. So then they think it's frou-frou stuff. Just because you don't understand something doesn't mean it's not scientific.
You're exactly right. We tend to fear things we don't understand, and so they don't understand this, and they're fearful of it. But this honestly is, if you look at this, it's a customized roadmap to your life. So with a roadmap, you're going somewhere, but you choose where you're going. The astrology doesn't tell you the path. It says here are the vibrations that you are operating within right now. What you choose to do this and how you choose to get from here to there where you want to go, that's up to you. But these tools show you what are the hindrances in your life against that goal, and what tools you can use as a benefit to get to where you're going. So having knowledge is not a bad thing.
No, not at all. I agree. And I think a good analogy for those, to put in the simplest terms, is, even like we were talking about music entertainment, it's like knowing what music makes you feel better will determine what music concerts maybe you should go to. And I'll put it as simple as that. Whereas
absolutely, there's a vibration inside of it.
There's a vibration for everybody. It's funny to say that as a kid, I was always embarrassed playing my folk music. That's all I still play today is folk. I never got into the 6th and 7th dimensions and frequencies, and I was never really an electric guitar player, even though I did when I was 12. I played electric, but I've always written with a very Celtic kind of feel. And I was embarrassed growing up because everybody was into like the Supremes or the Rascals or the Beatles, and I couldn't hear that in me. So I thought there was something wrong, and I always shied away from music. But now, folk's back. It came back again. It's not just the Bob Dylans and Joan Baez's, but it's true. Like a lot of music today to me is noise. But when we were growing up, to our parents, our music might have been noise compared to their generation. But I think the actual musical beauty has been lost along the way in some of the largest fields today, hip hop and everything else out there. I don't relate to it, but it's
the
brilliant.
Point is, you were responding to a truth that you were hearing inside you.
For me,
resonated with that music.
Absolutely. And
something else resonates with me. But when you're growing up, you don't know that it's okay to be different or not part of the group, right?
Well, we're all different.
And I think I find it all the time where, what motivates somebody, whether it's the gym or whatever, like when somebody like me, okay, if I'm about to go do a motivational seminar, I'm listening to like heavy, fast, loud music, and that's what motivates me. Other people would get anxiety ridden over that, and it would just create more anxiety for them to get up on stage, whereas me, it puts me in a comfort zone. Everybody's different that way.
We're all on a different frequency, and the charts, going back to the charts, show us elements. So the audience out there that's watching, if you were to order a chart, you would get a wheel. That's called a wheel of all the planets. The beautiful part about Fred's astrology charts is that you get 13 to maybe 20 pages of an explanation of every aspect and conjunct and the planetary alignment, what you're compatible with it's your creativity, what you should be doing, what your interests are. And you get like a little notebook based on you. It's opening up a book, reading about you and the characteristics that are defined and the words that are used are pretty potent. Then there's also one that you can get that would give you a projection into 6 months or a year, what to expect based on what the planets would be like down the road. And it's really a lot of fun to really read this stuff.
Yeah,
And,
these reports,
it's science.
These reports translate all the stuff you're seeing on the chart here. So you don't have to
Yeah,
know
but for the layman, we have to understand how to read it. You understand how to read it. But what I'm saying to the listener is that if they order the chart with us, they in turn get the printout of the words so they can look at the chart with the categories and understand the meaning. All the definitions and the predictions are there. It's not just the wheel that, but this, you understand it because you've been doing it, what, 50 years? How long have you been doing astrology?
Probably closer to 40. It's I started
it's been
out
a passion of yours for years.
Drawing up the charts by hand, and that's good where you really learn it on a visceral level just by the
doing
hand to mind. Yeah.
So I have a question for you, Fred, because I'm sure this is what listeners are thinking. Maybe if they listen to this, what about how they kept changing Pluto's a planet, Pluto's not a planet. Oh, Pluto's a planet again. How does that affect these charts?
It doesn't, in that these charts already know that Pluto's a very small body. And so for this to be effective in having an influence on your life, it has to be a very close orb. For example, the sun or the moon, you get 10 degrees of orb when you are looking at conjunctions and oppositions and different angles with different planets that affect them. With Pluto, you're going to get 1 to 2 degrees. So it's got to be very, very precise. Think about Pluto as a laser beam. It's very, very tightly focused, but very, very powerful. And it travels very slowly, but what it touches, it transforms and burns up, and like it turns ore into gold if you have that kind of ore.
Wow.
So
I think right now this is today's chart of the USA, the United States, correct? This is the United States wheel?
We're still looking at Dean's, right? We've got to finish up with Dean here. Dean, it's a good time for you to be a spiritual disciple. Good time for you to invest in your spiritual growth. That's good. You have a little bit of with that Neptune conjunct Saturn, maybe a tendency for some irrational anxieties, maybe bordering on some depression. So do get out and stay busy, and don't let that get you down. There may be some uncertainties in business and partnership from that, because Saturn is structure and business partnership. Neptune is illusion, deception, disillusion. So there could be some intrigues or secret things going on behind the scenes that can undermine your success in business. So be on the lookout for people who are nefarious. I don't know if you have any of those in your life. I hope not.
That's pretty much most of the people I've ever encountered in my life.
Yeah. You put people the right way. But desperate people are capable of doing desperate things. So don't get around desperate people.
It's so funny you should say that, because my father used to say all the time, desperate people do desperate things.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
And when you were talking there, it just sounded like the type of women that I pick.
There you go. I mean, that very well. Let's see where your Venus is. We talked about it's on your mind, right? With the Mercury conjunct your Venus there right now. You've got Mars, which is opposing your natal Saturn. So that's an aspect. Mars is the planet of war, and Saturn is your structure and you. And so the definition of that is to be careful and avoid accidents. Don't get yourself into dangerous situations.
Well, that might be hard.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. An accident is unexpected, so you can't anticipate the unexpected, and yet here we're called upon to do it right now. So good luck with that. But the other influence of that could be that Mars is the way you project your energy into the world, your will, how you get things done, get through the day. Saturn, again, is structure, but it's also authority, government, older figures, people, authority in your career and things. So watch out that maybe your will could be thwarted by an authority figure, or you could be called on to take care of an older person, for example, putting your energy into caring for somebody older. But
You guys talk. I have to step away a second.
okay, but the good thing is that you've got some struggles dealing right now with that Saturn affecting Mars and Neptune conducting Saturn. You got a lot of Saturn stuff going on, and Saturn, it is the lesson bringer. So you're here to learn some lessons right now, and while it's frustrating and difficult, you have to go through the lesson to get to the other side. And the way Saturn works is if you learn that lesson properly, then there's a payoff on the other end. So whatever you're grappling with, right?
It's interesting too, because don't we all too, like, we think we learn lessons, but then we realize that we end up doing the same thing again, and we didn't really learn the lesson.
You got to come back and do it again. Sorry, you didn't get it last time. You got to come look at it this way. Yeah, a lot of different ways. Again, that's that truth echoing through our lives and through our charts. But the good thing is, if you're going through some struggles, something you're grappling with and working with and having difficulty with, the idea is it's like a gymnasium. It makes your muscles stronger, so you'll come out the other end with a payoff if you learn the lesson properly.
100%, I agree.
Cool. Linda is back.
I'm back. We had a little glitch in sending out some candles. The Weeks of Wisdom. My assistant Lisa is here on Thursdays and Fridays and packs all the candles. And I had one address that I knew she didn't see on the form, and I needed to bring it to her attention, so she had to go redo it so our client can get the candles. Actually, he watches all these shows and he talks about all the shows. He's in North Carolina, Fayetteville. If you're listening, Milton, hi. I got your order.
Hi, Milton.
Milton, yeah, please say hi to Milton, North Carolina.
Fayetteville, so I go there all the time.
Do you really? Wow.
Yeah, because I have, my son is in the military long time. He was telling me it's a huge
military hub. I had no idea.
Yeah, he lives there. He's stationed there. My son-in-law just got medically discharged, but they're stationed there right now.
Whoa.
And then I have another daughter that's living there because she wanted to be close to her siblings.
Oh, that's interesting. I've been to Fayetteville, Arkansas. Then when I heard that there was a Fayetteville, North Carolina, it's like, okay, but anyway, Milton's a big fan of the show and all three of them, and the podcast and the YouTube. So he'll love this. He'll probably want to chart later. But yes, I'm back, and I do a lot here because the candles, and I'll just promote for a moment, the Wicks of Wisdom are my candles, and they help with love, money, getting rid of negativity, your love life, breaking through barriers, your health and everything. And there's 3 candles per set with essential oils, herbs, and powders that go into the candle. And I teach you how to become your own alchemist. And Fred's worked them with me for 30 years. He's watched me evolve because we started the radio, and I think it was 5 years later I got into the candle magic, and that became part of the brand, and the show just kept growing, and so did I, thanks to Fred. And every time I say, well, Fred gave me my start, this is that man, and he's been my friend for 30 years. We've gone through life together, and here we are. You're on the air again, talking your astrology, helping people.
We're both interpreting symbols. You're a little stronger on the symbol interpretation. Usually you see your own symbols in your mind. I'm looking at symbols on the paper here. So yours is a little more esoteric, a little more metaphysical. And
I would say
a little farther along the road than I am on this stuff. But yeah, you've put that metaphysical understanding, interpretation into the candles, and that's why they work.
Yeah, but people don't know that. They think just buy a candle with oils anywhere, and then they come and they find out, nope, mine are different. It's different because they're anointed differently. But this isn't just about the candles. This is about you and how brilliant you've been through your career and how you help people astrologically. Well, you've won awards from the broadcast industry. Come on, Fred, don't be so shy.
I didn't do too bad.
No, you didn't. He was awarded. I don't know, was NAB or just broadcasting? He had a whole lineup of awards.
Well,
I've got 3, but not like his.
When I had an office, the walls were lined with all the plaques, and the tabletops were all covered with the awards. But that was then.
Yeah, what did you do with all of it?
They're in boxes for the most part. I've got some of them on display, but yeah.
After a while, what do you need it for?
Yeah. You don't want to live in the past. You're always moving forward.
Isn't it interesting that when we're going through our 30s and 40s, and well, Gene's in his 50s, but I'll be, like I said, I'll be 72 months from today, actually.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, and Dawn's right behind me 6 days, right? So we should have a dinner. What was I going to say? The moving up the ladder in your life for your career or your marriage or your relationship, you're going up. Then you get to a certain point where it doesn't matter, or you don't have to show off, or you don't have to, it's just one more to collect dust, or that's nice, I did that. And then you get to a point where I think I'm going to retire like you did. I look at the stuff on the wall. It's like, God, that's 45 years already. Oh, do I really need that? There was an article that came out in some local magazine. And of course, somebody that sells frames or mats, wanted me to buy something so I could put it on the wall. It's like, I don't need it on the wall. No one's going to see it anyway. I don't need it. What do I need to frame it for? I have it online if I want to read it again. It's just, I don't care anymore. My perceptions change. My needs have changed. But I think in maturing, and I like the accolades. You like the accolades. Dean likes the accolades. But there's only so much that you have to keep proving, because I think our work proves itself. It's still nice to be acknowledged.
One day you wake up and say, you know what? I just realized I don't have anything left to prove, so I'm ready to retire. So
is that what happens?
You'll get to that point before long too.
And you know what?
Worked a long time.
You don't have anything left to prove even long before you retire is what you find out, because you go through the different decades. And when you're a teenager, you're trying to prove things to your friends. When you're in your early 20s, you're trying to prove yourself in the business world. And then you start.
That's basically what I'm saying. Or education and business, you grow.
Prove to your kids and prove to your spouse. And then you get to like the 40s and it's like, I don't need to prove anything to anybody anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. So part of our learning path in life. Linda, you want to look at your chart?
Yes, let's look at my chart. We've got 5 more minutes, and let's take a look at what's going on with me.
Okay.
And you can explain the differences, because you got houses here where Dean did not.
Okay, so this is a bi-wheel. It's called a bi-wheel, with the inner wheel the planets where they were at the moment of your birth, and the outer wheel is the planets where they are transiting now. And the outer planets are transiting again counterclockwise.
Okay.
We look for patterns that repeat. And one thing I'm seeing repeat in your chart, and in astrology, they teach you to never predict death in somebody's chart, especially if it's about the querent, the person who's at issue here. But I know you have an aging father, and I'm seeing some echoes here in the 8th house of legacy and
he's 94. He's got dementia.
Yeah. So it's the 8th house is called the death house, and it's the Pluto is there.
Are we coming into it like in the next 6 months or the next year or so?
Pluto takes 30 years to go through a sign. So
so we don't know where my dad is.
Yeah. No, it's an influence that's there, and it's 40% through the house. So it
few more years.
Finished. Yeah, it hasn't finished what it's doing there.
We only have 2 minutes left. Oh, geez. We didn't even do the United States. Don't worry about my chart. I can talk to you about that. Let's go to the USA chart real quick as we close the show with Dean here, and let the audience see the USA, because you and I can talk about mine again later.
Okay, well, you can see the inner chart with the USA. A lot of planets, again, that stellium with a setup of a bunch of planets are over there in the 7th house. So the 7th house, we have all this stuff in Cancer. So we're a very home and homeland loving nation. We've got our sun there. We've got our expansion of Jupiter in there, and Venus in there. And we want people to like us. And we want to be nurturing, and we want to be good in the world. And those are all good things. But we have up here in the 10th house, Mars is transiting, and that's 10th house is, how the world sees us and how we project our energy in the world. And it's in Scorpio, which is in the sign that governs retribution and power and control, and we've got Mars in retribution and control and response. We're going to be dragged into helping our friends fight their wars, which is what we've been doing.
Right. And it's starting to show in the chart.
Yeah.
So it's showing we're going to extend ourselves. Does it
And then,
show in the chart that we would be attacked? Does it show any type of
if you look down here in the second house, yes, the moon is in the second house, and the moon.
Because I think we're going to be attacked.
Our
psychically.
moon is our group of feelings and emotions that we share, and it's in Aquarius, which is freedoms and kindness and fairness to all people. And outside the transiting that's Saturn, and Saturn is the lesson bringer, the difficulty, and it's conjunct, and so it's coming off of a conjunction. It's called a waning conjunction rather than a waxing growing. So we've just been through a difficult period of Saturn lessons and threat.
I think there's going to be a little bit more. Fred, I adore you. We're at the end of the show, and you know what it's like.
Oh, there's so much time we need on this, but with the time goes.
Well, then will you come back and do more? Can I twist your arm to have you back?
Yeah, you can't do it all in one session, it turns out.
I'm going to have you back. This is Fred Missman, everybody, who gave me my start in radio in 1994, and here I am still 29 years later, still on the air doing something to help you. And I want to thank Dean, who owns the station, who has been on the show with me every day this week. You did Transformational Tuesday, you did Recovery Wednesday, and now you're doing Starlight Cafe. So that's your birthday week. And it's always great fun. It's always great fun. But I do invite you to contact me off the air at lindasalvin.com and go ask for an astrology chart. Learn about you. You'll see a whole 13 to 20 page printout with your name, date of birth, city and state you were born in, and it's your chart, your life. Mine says Linda Salvin, Dean says Dean Piper, Fred says Fred Missman, and you get the wheel with all the explanations. But Fred, I love you dearly. We've been through this for so many years. It's his voice before the show and after the show. And
I'm wearing your mother's glasses right now.
My mom passed away
Your mom's
14 years
glasses.
ago.
I'm wearing these right now.
My mom, I see them because I gave Fred, she had like 12 pairs of glasses and all the clothes when I was cleaning out everything. It's nice to see my mom's glasses, but most of all, I'm just glad to see you. Especially since lockdown, it's been harder getting together. And Fred went through some surgery, some medical problems, and all that's behind you now, so you're good.
Yep. We didn't cut anything off, just out.
Thank goodness. Dean, what's your final word?
My final word is this show is absolutely amazing.
It rocks.
It definitely rocks. And you guys rock. And that astrology stuff does rock because, people, they don't realize it is a science. And I mean, listen, there are times I look at astrology stuff after the fact and man, it was right on point.
Yeah, there's something to it.
Yeah.
Whoever designed the universe designed part of this.
That's right.
It's all planned. That's a whole topic in and of itself as to what, is it odd, is it God? And I'd love for the two of you to be on that show with me. That'd be a great topic. And is it odd or is it God? And we can all fill in the blanks and talk about it. Fred Missman, thank you so much. Dean, I'll talk to you soon. Everybody out there, have a great week. I'll be back on Tuesday with Transformational Tuesday. And in the between, feel free to email me, Dr. Linda at lindasalvin.com. Thanks, everybody. See you soon.
Thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoyed today's program with Dr. Linda. Need a breakthrough of your own? Ready for answers or insights nobody else has? Reserve your own one-on-one in-person chat. Dr. Linda isn't just for other people. Dr. Linda gets results for you. And it's easy. Contact details are on screen now. Just click on lindasalvin.com or call toll-free 888-509-1077. That's lindasalvin.com or toll-free at 888-509-1077.